Okay everyone, let me level with you. I have not been racing well in 2023 so far. I've gotten tangled up in accidents and have more often than not been off the pace. So as I'm on the grid here at Catalunya for a 20-minute F4 race in iRacing, I'm feeling the pressure. Can I get a better result today? Well, we're going to find out very soon. I'm car number 20 in a 1.8k split and we are about to get underway from 14th position on the grid, and the lights are green and away we go. So my primary focus as ever on this opening lap at Barcelona is just staying safe, and you can see the McLaren liveried car of Menzies behind has got a fantastic start. He's on my outside here and he's going to be looking to make a move around the outside. I don't want to get pinched to the apex, so I'm just going to ease off the gas. I'm going to give him that position for the time being. I've got a car on my outside still, but I'm hopeful of being able to hold the position on the inside line here. I've also got Sergio Diaz in the Porsche livery just up ahead, returning to the racing line. Turn 4 coming up then here underneath the gantry, and we've got to be very careful of another car down my inside. That's Juan Rivera Jr. just coming through then in the Mercedes liveried car. I'm now going to hold to the inside to hopefully hold off Kai Escher, because we are losing positions hand over fist here as I'm perhaps just being a little bit too tentative in this opening lap. I've still got Escher around my outside as we come into the very tricky uphill left-hander. Oh, but there's an incident. There's a big yellow flag out. Two cars coming together. That looked like Tim Keller was involved there. We managed to get through, but there's been a big pile-up behind me. Sergio Diaz then, the car just up the road, and he is now 0.2 seconds ahead, and there's all sorts going on up the field as well. Another 4 cars bunched together just up ahead of us as we head into the hairpin for the first time. No real way through there for me, but it looks like maybe 1 or 2 of the cars up ahead might have sustained some damage and are running slowly, creating a bit of a bottleneck. So I'm going to have to be on full alert here to just see what plays out as we come through. Oh, look at that. There's Diaz getting out onto the curbing. The same could happen again through the very tricky chicane at the end of the lap here in Catalunya, but actually everybody gets through okay, and it looks as if then we might be finishing this first lap despite losing a bunch of positions through the first half of it, up in 12th place. Let's see what happened then to Tim Keller. Oh, he just loses the back end right at the time that you don't want to. Oh, there's one bit of contact and then another car comes absolutely flying into him. That was Escher who gets nudged into a spin there, and that is his race wrecked straight away. Muhammad having to take fantastic avoiding action, but gets a big clunk on the curb there. That will surely have given him some damage, and maybe why we saw all that congestion up ahead of me. We resume on lap 2 then, and we're still tucked in underneath the rear wing of Diaz up ahead, and the gaggle of cars is still congested together on track as well. So this is really tricky racing in these conditions, because it just takes somebody to lock up, as you saw up ahead there, one of the drivers do, for there to be a massive concertina effect, and you can get caught out heading into corners with cars braking earlier or taking avoiding action when you don't expect them to. So I'm really being very careful with the car here as there's tyre banging up ahead between 2 drivers there. It looks like Diaz might have gone very wide through the uphill right-hander there. You can see he's very much on the inside of the track, but he's running slowly. We're going to have a chance on the normal racing line. Yes, you can now see him appear in my rear view mirror. Oh, Muhammad's gone in deep into the hairpin as well, very close to making contact there through the corner, but we managed to gain a position just by being careful there as cars were jockeying alongside one another, and Diaz must have gotten out onto the gravel, which absolutely killed his speed down the back straight. Once more we're into this very tricky chicane, trying to get as good a run as we can to then mount an attack on Muhammad, who, remember, we suspect is carrying some damage because he's definitely lost some pace. And as we're coming down the start finish straight once again then, you'll see this really visibly. Look at the closing speed. I mean, yes, we're in his slipstream, but I'm absolutely sure there's some damage involved too. But look at the pop-out camera. This then is a big accident up the road with Rodriguez getting tapped into a spin. The cars coming together through the very fast right-hander, and that will give us another position. So we've passed Muhammad and we'll benefit from that collision as well, as we're coming now through that exact corner, and we've got a little bit of space back to Diaz, and then we're going to be trying to close in on the driver up ahead as well through the course of this lap. I'm beginning to feel my confidence building behind the wheel here. Now it's a question of, can we build on the progress made so far and close in on Hitchabesi up ahead? We're getting through the left-hander then. It really is just about feeling out the grip on this very technical Catalunya circuit and trying to carry as much speed as you can through the different corners on the lap. I know I'm very tentative through that left-hander there, shifting down into third gear, but it allows me to rotate the car. Likewise here, you've just got to feather the throttle on the uphill right-hander. Again though, trying to carry as much speed as you can. Down the back straight, no DRS for the Formula 4 cars, heavy on the brakes then, and down into second gear into the hairpin. And you can see Diaz has got some pace behind me. He's tucked right in underneath my rear wing, so I am both mindful of closing the gap to the car ahead, but also to defending as well if needs be. No real way past unless somebody makes a big mistake in the third sector of the lap, so just now prioritising a good exit here onto the start-finish straight to hopefully get into the slipstream of the driver up ahead and make a move down into T1, and that looks like exactly what we've gotten, a much better exit than Diaz behind, and we're in the slipstream of the driver up ahead here. We're going to be closing, and I'm going to come to the inside. He doesn't defend, so he's going to try and hang it around the outside of the corner. We're side by side into the braking zone, down into third gear. I have to be a little bit tentative because my line is compromised, and he is successful in holding it around the outside. He's going to return to the racing line. I had to get out of the throttle just very slightly and look in the rear view mirror. Diaz sensing an opportunity. He's going to come down to the inside. He's going to be behind the driver up ahead of me there, but he's got the inside line. I'm stuck on the outside of the corner, and I'm going to lose the position. And now I've got to be very mindful that I don't lose more positions, as I'm going to be narrow into the left-hander as well. But let's take a look at that on replay. You can see then I wasn't able to make the move into T1 stick, and from that moment forwards really I was then at a disadvantage to Diaz behind, who had a cleaner run through the corner, and he takes the position very, very well indeed. We rejoin the action then on lap 4, and I'm still following Diaz, who is trying himself to make the overtake that I failed to do just a few corners earlier. But you can see he's shipping to the inside, down into the hairpin, and he will hopefully get that move done. But up ahead of all of us, there's another accident, a car spinning on the exit to that corner. We're all thankfully not caught up in that, and we were able to get past relatively cleanly. But that is another position gained because of drivers making mistakes out on track. You can see then Diaz has made that pass stick, and we are now again faced with the challenge of getting our way past, most likely into T1. We get a good run through the final chicane there. We're hopefully going to be tucked nicely into his slipstream, and we'll be able to make this move count this time. It's going to require a bit of bravery to just get the throttle down a little bit earlier and trust that he gives me space on the inside and we don't come together. Here we go then, down the inside, spot the braking, get the car turned in, but get on the gas just a little bit earlier. You can see I've opened the corner out to myself. He's pinched to the inside, and eventually he has to give it up and tuck back in behind me there. Let's see it on replay. You can see we're very, very close to one another through parts of that corner, but eventually I'm able to make the move stick. On to lap 5 then, and we're still trailing Diaz up ahead, but we've gained all kinds of positions so far through this race. We started in 14th, we're up into 8th, and we've got 7th place in this race in our sights. I've just got to try and keep the pressure on. We do have some quicker drivers behind starting to make their way back through the field. Cody Dash is up into 9th position, and it wouldn't surprise me if we start seeing those guys appearing as part of the story of this race as well. But for now I'm just focused on keeping pace and hopefully reeling in Diaz up ahead. As we're coming down the start-finish straight then, we'll cross the start-finish line, and that is my fastest lap of the race so far. We're into the 1:45s, and for me that's pretty decent pace. It's still a good 3/4 of a second off the leading pace, maybe even a little bit more, but for me that is pretty well the best lap I've recorded so far, and that has put me right underneath the rear wing of Diaz up ahead. So I've got to now try and crank the pressure up through this lap and see if I can't get myself up into the top 7 here as we're getting into the business end of this race. Hard on the brakes then, third gear, then just try and feather the car through and get on the gas as early as you can up into fourth. And then again, look, we've gained another tenth or two through that corner and we're going to close right in the braking zone here onto Diaz's rear wing. He gets a bit up on the curbing there. That's going to compromise him on exit 2. I'm not altogether that happy about going too close through this next corner, and you can see he's gaining just a little bit of time on me there. I'm a little bit distracted by the fact I was so close to him, very nearly hit that inside curb, but nevertheless we're going to get a better run through the uphill right-hander. He is very wide there on exit. He's going to swing to the racing line. I'm going to get the inside line, and it's now going to be a case of, can I get the car slowed down, hug the apex, and then take the position? And I am able to do that. I'm able to get through. That is a very solid overtake there, and I'm up into 7th position, just capitalising on a couple of mistakes that Diaz made there in consecutive corners, and it's a clean pass into the hairpin. We resume then on lap 7, and just as I predicted earlier, Dash is now closed right in on my rear wing, so he's managed to get past Diaz and is now putting the pressure on me, and he's definitely lapping around half a second a lap quicker than I am. I missed the apex there up the hill. That means I'm going to be slow, so I'm going to come over to the racing line. I'm not going to defend on the inside because, to be honest, I'm not sure I've got the pace to hold him behind me, and there he goes down my inside. I'm very mindful to give him space to get that move done, and now my challenge is, can I hold in his slipstream? And I was helped a little bit by just behind me as that move got done. Diaz gets into a spin and he holds up some of the cars behind him too. We're on to lap 8 then, and I have managed to stick with Dash up ahead. I'm not really in a position to challenge just yet, but I'm pretty pleased that he hasn't disappeared off into the distance. So this race is not over yet. I'm going to try and keep putting the pressure on as we're through into the 3rd sector. Oh, but just like that, he makes a huge mistake. He gets up onto the sausage curb, and these cars cannot ride curbs that high, and look at that, just his rear tyre is up there, he lights it up and he's round, and that is me back up into 7th position. And in the end, it was just about bringing the car home from that point, and we were able to do it. So, having said at the beginning of the race how much pressure I was feeling that I'd been on such a bad run, I am absolutely delighted with this finish. 0x, no incidents, some really good overtakes, some good racing action, and some good decision making as well as to when to fight and when to let things go. I hope you enjoyed watching this race back as much as I did out on track, and if you did, then you might like this video that's up on screen now too.